it's like a Sunday night, like no one's on their phone. I was like, I'll just do it. And 30 minutes goes by and I look at it and it's at 1,000,000. And I'm like, what?
Oh my
I
gosh.
was like, what have I done?
Thank you again for doing this. My name is Adam, by the way, and this podcast is about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. And of course, we'll talk about the brand new song you just released called "Thank Me
Absolutely.
Later."
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, of course. I love your TikTok videos, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. They're fun.
Yeah. You definitely yeah, have something there with that with the barista thing going pretty much nuts, right away.
Yeah, honestly, that was like my first crazy viral video, and my mom and I did it together. Literally, I was like, "Mom, can you help me film a TikTok?" And it was like her video idea, and she was like, "Why don't you like sing to a Starbucks barista? Why not? You're always there anyway, every morning." So we
Right.
did it, and it went crazy, and I was like, "This is cringy, but people love it, so it's okay."
I have a 13-year-old and I walked in to tell him I was interviewing you. And I was like, oh, do you know who this is? And I sent him the link and he opens it. He's like, oh, I already liked this back in 2019. I was like,
Oh
that's
my
so awesome.
That's amazing. Oh my
But
goodness.
yeah, anyway, I'm curious to know, you're born and raised in where, North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina,
Tell me
and
about that.
yeah, so I was actually homeschooled my entire life. I come from a super tiny town that no one's ever heard of in North Carolina. And it was me and my two sisters and my parents, and we loved it. I grew up on a lot of land, but around me, besides my family, there wasn't like a ton of music. And
Mhm.
so when I was about 15 or 16, I started traveling back and forth from Nashville to North Carolina, just driving with my parents when I was in high school, just being like, can we go every single month? And I would write songs with people and work with producers, and it was so much fun. But honestly, like I love North Carolina. I don't know if I'll settle there, but like it definitely will always have a piece of my heart.
That's amazing. Are you in Nashville now? Or are you?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. I half live in Nashville and I half live in LA.
Okay.
Right now, I'm in my friend's like brand new apartment in LA. So we have like this chair, and that's about it in here, and a
I
desk.
think we have the same chair.
Oh, nice. I love that. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm just curious because I just moved. It's funny. I moved from my family and I. We just moved from Southern California, from San Diego to Nashville. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Honestly, Nashville's like kind of the place to be. I love it.
we love it. I mean, the weather's different, but it's awesome. We love it here so far.
Yeah, for sure. Were you like snowed in February?
No, it's funny is this is how smart we were. We moved here the week, like the Monday after everything was snowed in and like the windmills were frozen in Texas. So we're like, yeah, we'll just leave on the Monday.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart. I was
But
stuck
it
in
all
Texas.
melted. Like it was crazy. As we were driving, it took 5 days to get here, with
Yeah.
everything.
Oh
And
my
by the time we
goodness.
got here, it was beautiful. So
Yeah.
it kind of worked out. But
Honestly, Nashville weather is just so bipolar. It's very
right.
unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday was raining. It was so weird. It's just like,
I
anyway.
know. I know. Yeah. It's weird. I love it though.
So when did you get into music? Pretty early, correct?
Yeah, so honestly, I was always around music, like with my dad. He always did music growing up, and he was in a band and he toured, and he never
Oh,
pushed me to do music, but I was like always asking him questions, always wanting stories, always wanting the know-how. And then same with like my sisters. They were always singing and dancing, and my mom danced as well. So I started performing at like a really early age. I would say like 3 or 4. I don't even remember the first time, but that was through dance. And then I just found my passion for singing when I was probably 6 years old. And the thing is, I wouldn't sing for any human. I was so embarrassed. And I just like watched Hannah Montana all the time and was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And I would just like put on concerts in my backyard, but no one could come because I was so shy. And then like later on, I would say when I was like 8 or 9, I started writing songs. They were not good.
wow. But that's
But
still, I mean,
yeah. I mean, it was so much fun. I just like needed to get my emotions out, and I was like, this is cool. I'm going to do this a lot. And then like when I went into middle school and high school and started actually going through like real problems that
mhm.
could create better songs, I just kind of stuck with that as my therapy. So, yeah, we're still
Wow.
going.
Yeah, sure. You said your dad was a musician, a touring musician.
Yeah, so he was actually he's gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh my god," but he was in a Led Zeppelin tribute band, and he was like the Robert Plant, like the lead singer, and so
Oh man, that's awesome.
he's so humble, but he has an incredible voice, and he's an insane guitar player, and he still writes music just like on the side, just for fun, and like produces. He's insane, and like I just that's always something that we shared, and he's helped me so much in this industry. Same with my mom, but she's more
Mhm.
on like the dance side of things.
Sure, but to have those advocates in your life, that's huge. I mean, to take you to Nashville,
Yeah.
from North Carolina, I'm sure that wasn't an easy drive every month or
No,
so.
it wasn't. We went through the mountains and it was like this for an hour or two of the drive and it was rough. But it's okay because we got to write a lot of songs.
That's cool. Has your dad ever helped you work out some of the songs you write, or no?
Um, honestly, yeah, we've written a few songs together. He's more into like the cinematic world. Like he loves producing like movie scores. Like that's like his main
Oh,
passion. But I think what we both connect on is like I love like darker pop music,
hmm,
and I feel like with orchestra music and movie scores and everything, there's like a dark vibe and
oh,
just dark
sure.
element in general. Yeah. And so like every time I write, I'm always, or every time he plays me a song, I'm like, can I use those chords, please? Like, can we write this and make it a pop song? And I feel like our brains are just similar in that way. We love kind of like the darker, like envisioning a scene as we're like writing. I don't know if
Hmm.
that makes sense, but
No, it totally does. You're
yeah.
telling a story.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you start convincing them to take you to Nashville? That's my question.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was like 12 and I was like, I don't know if you'll know this, but I'm gonna be famous. And I was
You're
like,
right.
yeah, I was like, but I'm not gonna sing for you. And you're not gonna hear my songs because I'm too embarrassed. But I started posting cover songs and I posted my first cover when I was like 12. I think I think it was Titanium by Sia, and I had braces, like it was rough. But I think that was the first time that my parents were like, oh, like she can sing, like we should camp out here and like you know let her come to us if she needs anything, and then other than that just let her do her thing. And because I was homeschooled, it was so easy to like travel back and forth. But from 12 to 15 is when I recorded a few covers, wrote tons of songs, had a lot of growing up to do, and then
Hmm.
eventually I think I was 13 or 14, I played them songs and they like really loved them. And I was so shaky. I was like, my voice is gonna sound bad. I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. And they really liked them. And like to this day, we think back to those songs and like I'm so happy that I like played them all of my songs and like wanted them to be a part of it because they were so for me and still are. And
Hmm.
so yeah, eventually I had a few producers like reach out to me for writing, and my parents were like, okay, we should make a trip. And then every month after that we were like, let's make more trips. And then it's basically how it went. They love Nashville too, like honestly it's a beautiful place.
Sure. Wow. So, I mean, to be that vulnerable to play your songs, especially your lyrics in front of your parents, that must have been difficult, I would
Yeah,
think.
it was difficult because like they had known some of the stuff I was going through, and like being homeschooled, I don't know what public school life is like, but I definitely had like a lot of social outlets, like at church, at dance,
Mhm.
and even in homeschool, I still went to school a few days a week. It was just I went to co-ops, which were like
Right.
other homeschoolers would come together. But honestly, like through that, I kind of went through some bullying, and I think that's what really sparked a lot of my inspiration for music because I didn't know how to handle it, and I can only talk so much about it. I was like, I need to sing. I need to use this. And so I think they had heard that. And then after hearing my songs, were like, okay, she's using this in like a productive way. Like this is super cool. We need to like explore this. And
Mhm.
I was already had it in my head that I was never gonna stop writing songs. So I was like, we have to do something about
Sure. It's
it.
either like you get on board or I'm going anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. But to have your parents take you out to Nashville, so it sparked, or there was kind of you had somebody to go out there too, right? You said producers reached
Right.
out. It wasn't like you just rolled up in Nashville and were like, okay, now what? You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
had a kind of a purpose in the beginning or
Yeah,
right
exactly.
away.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, my parents were not gonna let like little baby kings go meet male like producers and
Right.
writers just alone. But honestly, like a lot of the people we met, I still know, I still write with. Like they're they're amazing. And I'm really grateful because it's so crazy. I feel like if you know one writer in Nashville, you know like 10. And then if
Okay.
you know 10, you know how, like it just everyone knows each other. Um, but yeah, that's one thing I love about it and like the writing world there.
Was it hard when you got there to like, I mean, did you experience like ageism at all? Because you were younger and then you're probably writing with older people. And did you ever have
Yeah.
that?
Honestly, I will say yes, a little bit, but in my own head, like even to this day, I'm like, I always, and maybe this just is just like a toxic thing that women go through in the industry, but I feel like everyone thinks there's like a timer or like a stopwatch of like when you need to stop doing music. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, I need to like be this successful by the time I'm this age and like blah 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 and like making all these rules for myself because I always felt like people in the music industry are like, all right, after 28, like women are done. And that is absolutely not the case at all. But like, I kind of felt that. I felt that pressure of like, okay, by the time I'm 20 or 22, like I need to have something stable. And so when I was young, I still had that mindset, which is so stupid, but I was still like, all right, I need to capitalize while I'm young and, and do my absolute best to be as successful as possible. But really, like the other people that I was writing with, I didn't feel like there was much ageism, but
Hmm.
I am very grateful for the writers who came in, met me when I was 16 or 17. And, the first few songs we wrote weren't going to be hit songs, weren't going to be the ones that I released. But the fact that they like stayed with me, I'm still in touch with them. I just wish one of my co-writers who I've known for 4 years, like a happy birthday. Like the fact they stayed with me just showed a lot. And I was like, dang, like people in Nashville, if you find the right people, like they're just going to be on your side forever. And so
Hmm.
I honestly am like really blessed to not have experienced as much ageism as I could have.
That, yeah, that's good. I wasn't sure if like you go into a room and they're going to look at you like, oh, look at this like 16, 17-year-old girl. Like, what does
Mhm.
she know about, any of this? But
Right,
was it
right.
hard to be vulnerable in those situations too? I'd imagine like sharing with people you've never met.
Yeah, honestly, in my case, I was like, when I was like co-writing with writers, I was like, I just don't want my parents to hear about this boy that I have a huge crush on. I was like, I'm fine talking to strangers, but when I go back home and all my friends hear it and my parents hear it, I'm like, they know who it's about. But yeah,
Okay.
honestly, I feel like co-writes, it's kind of like blind dating. You don't know what
Mhm.
you're going into, and you might have a second date, but you might not. And it's kind of just like trial and error.
Okay. What
Yeah.
was the first like little victory you had after getting to Nashville? Like, did one of your songs get picked up, or like, what would you say?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. I feel like my first little victory in Nashville was I'm trying to think. I had so many like meetings that I was really proud of myself as like a young girl going in
Hmm.
and like speaking for myself. Um, I had meetings with people who were just like, I don't know, friends of friends, and I was like, okay, well, can you send them my songs and let me know what they think? And then I had a few meetings with them, and I feel like just being able to hold my own was like a big milestone for me. And I know that's like a small thing, but I just really felt like in those moments, like, okay, I can do this. Like I can stand up for myself and my art. So yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. No, I think that's really huge to be able to have a voice and not just kind of go in there and go, here's my songs, and then just, put your head down. But to
Right.
say, hey, like, here it is, and to have that personality to go and do that, I think that says something in itself. I think that would be very hard to do.
Yeah, yeah, it was, but I'm so grateful. Like honestly, my parents are and my two sisters are like my main support system. And I don't know where I would be without them, honestly. Like they've really helped me through all of this.
Mhm. So the TikTok sensation, that thing, so that kind of just happened out of nowhere. You were already writing songs, you were already putting up stuff online and in different covers, and that just kind of came out of what, left field?
Yeah, honestly, I always had this feeling. I literally had the Musically app before it was TikTok
Yeah,
from
so
the
did my son.
yeah, from the time I was like 14, 15, I had this app, maybe posted one video, wasn't even a
Uh-huh.
single video. And the only reason I got on there was to look at like a few of my friends' videos and then get off. I knew nothing about TikTok. And I think my first video that like blew up, I think it has like 3 or 4 million views, was actually a dance video that I did with 2 of my friends, and we were at the beach, and then all of our moms. And at one part in the dance was like a jump, and when we jumped up and they came down, it was like our moms in our place, and they danced.
Oh,
It
that's
was kind of like,
awesome.
yeah, it was the get up challenge, which was huge, and it was so much fun. And when that blew up, I was like, okay, this video is awesome, but like this probably wouldn't blow up on Instagram or YouTube. Like TikTok is very special and really does cater towards creators,
Hmm.
which is awesome. And so after that, that was like summer 2019. After that, I was like, all right, I just need to push this for music. I felt kind of an immense like amount of pressure to like be huge on TikTok before I started releasing music. And I wrote 2 songs in November of 2019 that I wanted to release. And literally in December is when my first like huge video popped up, and I had no idea that was going to happen. Like I didn't know that was even possible, and I was just so like confused. I was like, well, it's kind of cringe, but at least I'm singing in it. And it was the Starbucks drive-through one.
Okay. What,
Yeah.
how does your phone just go nuts? Like, I don't even know how to, like, how that would feel.
Honestly,
That must have been so bizarre. Like, do you just wake up and it's like your phone's off because it's been getting so many alerts? Like,
yeah. Well, okay, so I actually have like my notifications off, and I think I did at the time. And I was literally like contemplating with a friend. I was like, should I post this? It's like a Sunday night, like no one's on their phone. I was like, I'll just do it. And 30 minutes goes by, and I look at it, and it's at 1 million. And I'm like, what?
oh my
I
gosh.
was like, what have I done? And it made its way to Twitter, and there was like a few comedians like tweeting about it, like a YouTuber who was kind of hating on me, but I really looked up to him. He was like tweeting about it, and I was like, okay, this is cool. What do I do? Like, what do I do? And yeah, like I don't know. I think the next morning I woke up with 300K, and I had like 100 the night before, and I was like, okay, well, I really need to leverage this. And I just kept
Yeah.
posting singing videos, and I was like, I don't know what to do, but I think I just kind of fell into it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, obviously you got to capitalize on it and you did a great job. And if you didn't have the songs to back it up, then people would have just, slowly went away. But obviously that's not the case. So that happened, you said in the summer of 2019, or when did the success of the video happen?
Starbucks video, I would say that was like the first one that was like, whoa, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
be like doing this for real. That was in December 2019. So
Okay.
like,
So right kind of before the whole pandemic hit.
literally, it was so weird. I even went to Playlist Live, which is an event in Florida, and everyone and their mother was there. And then a week later, the world shut down. And I was like, how did that's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that all happened, was it like, okay, now I have a lot of time to really focus on my craft and writing songs and getting this thing going?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was writing so many songs at that point because I had just had like a falling out with a boy that I was dating. And I guess COVID was the perfect like separation for both of us.
Hmm.
Um, but like I was writing so much music about him, and I was like, I need to release this. And I just kept doing TikTok videos, mainly with my mom. Like she'd run up to me and have me finish a lyric, or, some type of fun video in like a parking garage and me singing, and the acoustics are good. But like I really couldn't, it was mainly all at my house, obviously.
Hmm.
And it was a little bit harder to get creative that way. But honestly, I feel like I could really focus on just like my voice and my singing videos. And because TikTok was blowing up exponentially around that time, they were all doing really well. And I'm like, I'm so grateful that I could still work during COVID because it was such like an awful time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you were able to, like, you were after the TikTok Starbucks video, you were like going back right through the drive-through and like playing them like your new singles and stuff.
Literally. Dude, yeah. I was like, whenever I go through a drive-through and I feel like the barista has like insane energy, I'm like, all right, can we do a video, please? And then, I mean, sometimes I do plan it. I'm like, all right, we're gonna go to 5 Starbucks today because I want to play them my song. If they hate it, great, and if they love it, great. But I
Mhm.
just want to get content, and I always ask them beforehand, of course, because they don't sign up for anyone singing or recording TikToks in the drive-through.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely helps. I don't know why people love videos in the car. They just do.
They do. They're great.
Yeah.
I love the video you did too, and I'm curious to know if your manager had to buy you Starbucks for life or for a year.
Okay, honestly, he bought them for a week. He bought like all of those drinks, and I think I had a friend who works at Starbucks and got a huge discount, so it actually wasn't as much as people thought. But yeah, I got like a little below 10K pre-save, so he didn't have to do it for a year, but that's besides the
Well, that
point.
is besides the point, and that's still huge. 10K on your song. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell me about you have Thank Me Later. That's the newest song that just came out.
Yeah, so I wrote Thank Me Later in January, and honestly, I was like,
Of this year.
yeah, of this year.
Okay.
It was kind of about a situation that happened late last year, and this guy that I was like talking to, he was like my best friend, and I was like, we probably will end up dating because we were so close. And I actually went to LA for 3 weeks, and I that was when I signed my record deal and like met so many content creators. Like it was amazing. And after that 3 weeks was up, I went back and he like had a girlfriend and he was dating someone. And I was like, ooh,
Ouch.
ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, it was really painful for a while because he just totally stopped talking to me. And I was like, I I understand, but I really don't. Like, we're adults here. We don't need to act like this. And I wrote so many songs about him for like the next 2 months. And in January, I feel like I was over the painful stage and I was like, all right, I need to write a sassy song about this new rebound. Not mad at her, not mad at him. I just need to write this. And that's how the song came up. And I was like, okay, I need to drop this ASAP. Like,
Wow. Wow. So you did sign your record deal too. I mean, within the past during this whole pandemic?
yeah. So I met with, well, honestly, I got in contact with Snafu, my record label,
Mhm.
not last May, but May 2020. So, like, in the thick of it,
Okay.
basically. And it was just like through email and through obviously lots of phone calls. And then I met with them in person in September. Um, and then we negotiated for 4 months probably. And then in November, we signed my record deal. And I'm so like happy about it. Like, I love Snafu. They're great.
That's cool. Were you able to sign it in person or was it like a Zoom handshake?
So I met them in person to celebrate the signing, but it was online. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that was still huge. I mean, tell me about that moment, getting the deal, and I'm sure your dad was like beyond stoked.
yeah, it was honestly insane and it didn't feel real. It's so hard, like, because I wish I could go back and tell my 12-year-old self, like, you're really gonna be okay. Like, I promise.
Mhm.
And in that moment, like all I wanted for the longest time, I was like, I have to get a record deal. And then I have it, and I'm like, I'm so grateful. And I just think it's so interesting how, like, I don't know, I've worked really hard and I'm so grateful, but it's also like, it's crazy how like success at the end of the day doesn't change who you are. If anything, it brings out your character or brings out, maybe the bad stuff in you. Like, I don't know. I've seen that in a lot of creators, how like, they'll get big and things will happen. And I think it's important to know, like, when I was little, I was always like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna be like a slightly different human when I get a record deal or when I blow up on something or like if this happens. And I think it's interesting how I still feel like that 12-year-old girl. But like that was still such like an insane moment for me. And yeah, I'm just like so happy because I love Snafu and it's been like a great journey so far.
Mhm. Well, to your point though, people could change once they are choose. You know what I mean? Like you're
That is
humble and you didn't because that's your personality type. But people could just, all of a sudden, now that they have success, start, acting a certain way or
that is very true.
way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people change, and I also think like there's certain things that people don't see that can like spill out when there's success. Like if someone's really insecure, or really confident, or really, like all these different things can like spill out even more because you always have to like be on. And
Mhm.
I actually had a writer, Megan Trainor's songwriter. I went to this event, and when I was like 15 or 16, he told me, I was like, "What's the main thing that changes when success happens?" And he was like, "Honestly, whatever you are right now, you're going to be 10 times that when you're famous." if you are insecure, you're gonna be 10 times insecure. If you're really mean human, you could be 10 times as mean. But if you're confident and if you're kind, you know, it could be 10 times that. Like, I just thought it was interesting how he put that, because that's never like left my brain.
That's great advice. I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Uh, wow, that's really interesting to think about. 10 times, 10, yeah, 10. Because if you're insecure and you're famous, now you have 10 times the amount of people or more looking at you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And like, yeah, and it can get, you know, really hard. It can feel like people are always watching you. And then sometimes it feels like you're irrelevant. Like, it's kind of a back and forth thing. And I think it's important to not find your identity in like numbers. And I still
Mhm.
struggle with that. But I think that's like the most important thing, is just like focus on like the art of it.
Mhm. Well, you said you wrote a ton of songs. I mean, obviously you're always writing. You have Thank Me Later that just came out. Do you
Mhm.
have like a EP of work, or you have another record coming out soon? Like what's the future lie?
Yeah. So right now, I would say throughout this, like throughout 2021, I really want to focus on singles, and
Hmm.
then potentially dropping an EP next year. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I'm really focused on singles because it's all of the songs that I've been writing that I'm like, I have to release this. They're so different. And I just want to have like each stage have its moment
Hmm.
and like really baby that song and then kind of drift on to the next one.
I love that. What about performing in front of, I mean, playing out in front of people? Is that something that you are excited to do? I know the world's kind of opening up a little bit here.
Yeah, honestly, all I want to do is like tour for the rest of my life if I could. And I know that's like a lot, but I love, like, dancing is still a really huge part of my life, and it has been since I was like 3. And so I would love to like either go on tour or start playing out whenever it's extra safe. We're still in like the early stages of that, but like that's definitely something I'm interested in. Like,
Hmm.
I love performing. It's so fun.
That's exciting. I mean, and you're obviously a great performer. You do it all the time on your phone and your TikTok account. I mean, if you couldn't sing, you wouldn't be doing it. So
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like performing is so hard. Like, dancing's hard, singing's hard. Doing it together is like, how do you even?
right, right.
It's crazy, but it's so fun. I just like, I also play piano and like a tiny bit of guitar, but there's something about looking every single human in the eye if you can when you're performing, and that's why I love like dancing and just like as a collective. If I'm like at a show, I want it to feel like everyone's singing together. There's not like one person singing and then everyone watching, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
No, totally. I like
Yeah.
that. Make it
Yeah.
more of a show instead of just a little intimate
Mhm.
performance.
Yeah, yeah, I want everyone
I
jumping.
love it. Well, Kings, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
I have one more question before I let you go. Do
Yes.
you have any advice for aspiring artists?
I would say that feeling that I got as a young artist of pushback and perfectionism, like I have to do it right, I have to do it perfect, get rid of that. Write your songs, create your art, and post it and let the world hear it. Because perfect does not mean beautiful. You could touch someone's life with an awful situation you went through if you turned it into art and put it out there. So, yeah, don't be afraid to just go for it. No one's judging you.